Gayatri Mahamantra along with me, with your back straight, left hand beneath the right, on your laps, contemplative mood. Om Bhurabhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Invocation of the timeless divine master Adi Guru Muni Vedvyas. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Deva Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, Akhanda Mandalakaram, Vyaptam Yena Characharam, Tatpadam Darshitam Yena, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, Om Shri Guruve Namaha, Vyapsrupena Avahayami Sthapyami Jayami Pujyami tato namaskaram karomi. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 9, the royal knowledge, the royal esoteric yoga. We come upon the third verse of this chapter, third shloka. Shloka is the right, most befitting word that we can deploy here. I must, before we start at the outset, I must come upon a term that is dharma. A common usage of this term now is all over internationally. I can term it as a universal term, dharma. This word is now, it has percolated down to the understanding of people across religions, cultures, regions. Although the word by itself is not colored by any religion, in by itself has a meaning like any other word shall have its own independent meaning, which to the root goes the natural tendency of anything. The natural tendency. If tendency proves to be a little word, a smaller word, then probably the natural existence, the way one exists, is the most appropriate meaning to this word. Dharma, to be rightly understood, if the words do not capacitate, let us understand it this way. It's like the dharma of fire is to burn, dharma of the water is to make things wet, dharma of the air is to dry things. So it is their dharma, their own inherent feature, which is embedded into them, that forms as a part of their existence. Rather, their existence itself, to be more precise, is dharma at its root level. But this word is deployed to convey different meanings, which means that it may be bearing different connotations depending upon its usage, where the word is deployed to express what. So, thereby, the word by itself may mean the natural existential aspect or the natural feature, etc. But yet, when it is used in the light of to express something different, then its meaning might gather a broader sense. For example, we also convey that the dharma of a citizen may be different, dharma of a father may be different, dharma of a son may be different. Likewise, we may also go on to say that the dharma to be manifested as a human must also be understood. So, thereby, this word can be used, can be deployed to convey different connotations at different places. Now, today, under the light of this esoteric, royal esoteric yoga, the royal knowledge, Raj Vidya, Raj Guhya Yoga, is something very peculiar, which must be understood in the light of this particular verse. So let's come down to the verse. On the slide, you'll be able to cite the verse. I've tried to make the arrangement so that you can see the slide. You may be able to read the Sanskrit words in transcripted in English. I am there to explain you the meaning of them. The first word is Ashraddhana Purusha Dharmasya Parantapa. Ashraddhana means someone who has no faith, who lacks faith. Let me reiterate. Right now, at the outset, we have taken the term dharma, and which I hold as the most important word in this verse, according to my own limited understanding. So, we are embarking upon this particular term, and in order to understand the true connotation of this term over here, we have now taken the line as a mention so that we can understand what it wants to convey. Ashraddhana, lack of faith, no faith at all. Purushaha, such persons. Dharmasya, now dharma here, though from where I've copied this transliteration, it has not been expressed in detail, but I'll come down to this now. We are studying the scripture, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We are studying under that scripture a particular chapter, number 9, which is the Royal Knowledge, Royal Esoteric Yoga. In the light of that chapter and in the light of our study, the word dharma has come over here. So, one thing is very clear, the background to deploy the word dharma is clear. We are studying a scripture. In that scripture, there is a particular chapter by the name Royal Esoteric Yoga. While we are studying that, this word has come up. So, dharma in light of what? Dharma in the light of the study that we have at the moment under our notices. Okay, so that must be clear. What must be clear? Under what light, under what circumstances has this word been deployed, and we are trying to understand. So that unless we hold this confinement of its usage, justice shall not be done to understand the meaning of dharma over here. Is that right? Okay. Now he says, if you do not have adequate faith, Ashraddhanana also means no faith, but I am using here the word not the adequate faith. Why? When it means the total negation to the faith, why are you compromising? Because I want to give a very expensive and a very new meaning to this. New meaning? Are you trying to innovate something? No, I'm not innovating anything. It's the newness of the understanding is only in the light of this particular verse. Otherwise, there is nothing new over here. Okay. So, lack of faith, instead of lack of faith, I'm using the word the adequate faith is not there. Unless there is adequate faith. What do you mean by adequate faith? It means that you are a sincere student. Yes, there is no doubt about that. There is all sincerity into you. You have come down to understand a scripture. Yes. You very well know what the scripture wants to convey. Yes. You focus your entire attention. You gather all your awareness to understand what is being taught. Yes. Having understood that and giving absolute affirmation to that knowledge, then yes, so far it is yes, you do not initiate by taking any single step. Yeah, here there is a dichotomy. So far it was tick on all yeses, all yes were being ticked. Your sincerity, unquestionable. Your offering entire attention to study scripture, yes, it's again a tick. You're trying to imbibe, you're trying to understand and assimilate the knowledge to your understanding, yes. But the moment it comes down to take the first initiative, there is a dichotomy. Maybe not a blanket denial, but there is something which can be held as a hesitation. On what count? For what reason? Unknown. So that means the adequate faith is not present. I'm not saying lack of faith over here to you, although the word is quite blunt and it conveys no faith. Whereas I, in the capacity of a teacher, while interpreting it and knowing that I have sincere seekers sitting before me, so I accommodate and give certain room to the understanding of lack of faith or no faith to having not having adequate faith. I think that is quite it's easy to comprehend at your end now, right? There are many things. There are lofty idols that we come across. We hold high appreciation toward them. We meet exalted ones. We hold high appreciation for them. Our obeisance and our regards towards them are unparalleled, yes. But when it comes to follow them, trying to imbibe their life into the living form within our own self, an element of hesitation creeps in, and we simply give it an escape route by saying, yeah, I it's an exalted one, yeah, no doubt about that. But for me, I why are you stammering upon this? Why this prolonged giggle accompanied with a stammer? That is the true hesitation which has totally and exclusively halted your initiative. It's not, it is disallowing you to take any initiative further. You have all submission admitted. You have all affirmation towards the exalted principle or exalted person accepted. But when it comes to incorporate it in living form within yourself by making an effort full of chain that may be with endless failures, you want to find an escape route. You become an escapist. And escapist in the most humble, submitted form. There is neither a total denial and there is neither a firm, indomitable spirit to take a resolve. That is missing. There is someone who stammers now. That is to be understood as adequate faith is absent. Because the kind of faith, for example, required is 100%. You have faith, but that is merely enough to issue you passing marks of 33% as we have it in India. They am given to understand the passing marks even today are, I'm given to understand, subject to correction, are 33%, unless they have undergone some change. So you have passing marks when it comes to take account on your faith, 33%. But what about the remaining 67%? Do you think that you'll qualify? Are you eligible enough to be enrolled into some institution with highest esteem? High esteem? Maybe not. Maybe not. If maybe not, then consider yourself merely that you have somehow transgressed. I'm not saying ushered, I'm saying transgressed towards faith somehow, but you have not given yourself to the faith. That is why the word dharma acquires an entirely different meaning over here. It says, since you do not have the adequate faith, that must be a basic provision, basic eligibility. That is why you cannot be considered to be one who can be shouldered or who must shoulder the dharma to do justice with this knowledge. No, you have not given yourself. And unless you give your entire faith followed by an indomitable spirit, a relentless will, a deep resolve, things won't move. You cannot be considered as one who has embarked upon the dharma to cherish the spirit of this knowledge. Your dharma here is to cherish the spirit of this knowledge. Your dharma over here is to cherish the spirit of this knowledge. But are you? No, you're not. You're truly not doing that. Instead, instead you're still trying to find an escape route, making excuses. People we observe in India in the court of law when they have to surface the truth from within, they are asked to take a vow, and they have to vow upon Srimad Bhagavad Gita, especially for the Hindus. They have to place their hand upon this holy book, and then they have to pronounce that in the witness or by the touch of this holy book, I shall speak truth and truth alone, nothing else. And I also make these words in my commonly in my own lectures. Thus, yes, you have touched that holy book in order to allow the truth within you to surface. But do you also do you also vow with the same intensity that you know something about the scripture? Maybe not. Have you imbibed even to the decimated extents the spirit of the scripture? Maybe not. If not, then my friend, it is a moment for you to do an inner probe, unbiased inner probe, a merciless probe within yourself, especially if you are in the capacity of seeker, not otherwise. You cannot expect from anyone and everyone to be the beholder of the same intensity, having the same yearning to emancipate, to evolve. No, you cannot have that expectation from all. But yes, especially those who have somehow now transcended towards this journey, this voyage of evolution, it is the basic expectation from them that they have to now allow the fructification of its spirit within their own existence. And that is where the word dharma comes. Dharma means the opportunity which you will give to this knowledge to fructify within yourself. You will allow this knowledge to prosper, cherish its purposes. Unless that happens, you're not on dharma. The dharma towards this knowledge is not cherished. So, dharma here acquires a different meaning, different connotation in the light of the study of that particular scripture under your notices this moment. So, if you are sitting down without adequate faith means now adequate faith also must be understood. Ashraddhana, as you can read it over here, Ashraddhana means, although here it means no faith, but I have accommodated not having adequate faith. Now, not having adequate faith means lack of lack of true will, lack of that indomitable spirit, lack of that initiative, such a mindset which is prepared with all preparedness, has offered itself as an oblation. Come what may, I will even confront millions of failures, yet not yield before that. I shall keep on going and trying through my sadhana, through my abstinence, my austerity, my efforts. I shall keep going. So, the first three verses of the chapter number 9 are preparatory. They are not illuminating, but also preparatory for the timeless seeker to prepare itself well before one embarks to understand the scripture. It may not happen that the instead of trying to imbibe and assimilate the knowledge into yourself, you simply go through it as a reader or as a listener and consider justice done to the scripture. No, that shall not be done unless it's dharma, it is allowed to fructify within yourself. Now, the story does not end here. Had these two words merely been mentioned here, we would have given some room for some iota of doubt to creep in, so that maybe it wants to convey something else. But there is another word, parantapa. Parantapa means destroyer of the foes. destroyer of the enemies. Now, what does this term destroyer of enemies has to do, especially when we are talking to understand and assimilate within ourselves an esoteric knowledge? Destroyer of enemies is something which is there. It's a word generally deployed to combat your enemies in a war field. Well, what is the war field here? Now, that is something for you to know, understand through your own far sighted wisdom. The war field here is the war between the divine and the demonic, the right and the wrong that is ongoing within each one of us. Deva Asura Sangram, Antah Sangram, the conflict which always prevails within each one of us. There is a force, a demonic force within us which wants to usurp the creative resource of our time, attention, energy in order to cherish its own demeaning pursuits. And there is equally present in the capacity of a seeker a force which is divine, which alerts us, wants to make us more aware towards the importance of our energy, time, and attention in the light of our own evolution. So there is a conflict going on in between. So, where is the war zone? The war zone is within us. And in that war zone, in the capacity of a seeker who has embarked to understand this science of the royal science, the esoteric science of Brahma Vidya, it is expected that it beholds the capacity to destroy the enemies. Parantapa, destroyer of foes. What kind of enemies do we have? I just mentioned a while ago. All those that come to us in the form of a distraction. They dissuade us, they disallow us to remain intact upon our pursuit to evolve. They engage us into the prevailing, the flowing flow, the irresistible flowing flow of the Maya, which wants to entangle and engage our attention into everything that is going at the moment. You may term it as power of now only in the light of the ongoing affairs in and around. So here it conveys that you are the destroyer of foes. You can certainly withdraw the charge from the enemies, behold it within yourself, and use it only to cherish towards the basic objective of your manifestation, which is Atmano Mokshartha. Combining these three words, Ashraddhana, which is not having adequate faith. Let me again reiterate. The literal meaning is no faith. I have accommodated not having adequate faith for the seekers. So it's my accommodation, not the real literal meaning of it. So Ashraddhana, number one. The second word is the Dharmasya, and the third is the Parantapa. Three words combined, they convey us that here Dharma, the foremost duty is to understand the scripture, not only understand the scripture, whereas to cherish the spirit of the understanding that we shall draw. And in order to assure ourselves, be the custodian of our own interest, we must ensure that we will destroy all those enemies that otherwise want to usurp our awareness and deploy it towards certain meaningless wanderings. So, that is the kind of assurance which is expected out of the timeless seeker. You and me are the timeless seekers. The next line gives you, if it is not done so, then this is going to happen. So, the outcome, if not complied as informed, the outcome has been mentioned in the second line of the same verse by saying aprapya. Aprapya here means you will not be able to attain. Mam is an indication given to what? Even although mom here personified in the form of Keshava, but the personification must exceed beyond this into towards the objective. So here I must say the Keshava, the Krishna personified into objective, objective personified as Krishna. So both have now transmutated into each other and personified as each other. So if you say Krishna, it is the same if you say objective. If you say objective, it is the same here for the mom, because mom is a word that indicates either it is Krishna or the another face of it, which is objective. Objective is I must emancipate. Atmanu mokshat. Moksha is the objective. So here, Krishna or moksha, it is the same, both personified into each other. So, aprapya mam nivartante shall again, the word you can read on the screen, come back, shall again come back by the pull, by the impel of the cycle which has been programmed by the Almighty to again incarnate through the womb of your next mother, death, biological death, an interlude, that is the transitionary period till you acquire the next womb. You have to wait for that, for your parents to be prepared to have you. Then again, you manifest again from that womb, the next womb, and again you manifest in the form of a being undergoing the same cycle which you already had few years ago. Few years ago, well, my age may be more. No, I gave an illustration in the Hindi class a while ago. For example, let's assume for a minute, assume, presume, or simply imagine, whatever, use the word which you like, imagine that someone expired biologically in the year 2000, okay, had to undergo a transitionary interlude, for example, of 2 years. Okay, understand that? Now, after 2 years, what happened? Again, an incarnation through the womb of the next mother. Yes. So today, the age of that being should be roughly around 20 years. Yes. If departed, biologically departed in 2000, the transitionary interlude of the soul for the soul was 2 years, then obviously, if incarnated in 2002, obviously the age of the being should be 20 years. Okay. Now, today, the kind of development which we see, the scientific development and growth, yes, it has undergone, no doubt about that, a landmark change in the past 2 decades. Much has been done, much has been achieved. There is no doubt about that. But still, we can say it is not so that if someone departed in 1850s, would have, if incarnated in 2000, would have seen a different dimension altogether, because in 1857 there was no electricity. The communication, the transportation, and many other things were not into existence the way they were in probably in 1950s. Then again in 2000 there was much available. Mobile phones were very much there in, I got my first mobile phone probably in 1997 or so, something like that. So the mobile phones were something which was gaining ground in the year 2000. So one who expired in year 2000 would have almost come across the all scientific developments which were there at that time. And today, if it has manifested, though it has observed certain new usherings, but not something which you can say is has undergone a great time lapse. No, you cannot say that. One who may have expired, may have departed in 1850, if would have manifested, could be considered as a manifestation after a great time lapse, but not so for the one who departed in 2000 and incarnated in 2002, and today at the age of 20. Okay. Now, the story goes on for the imagination. What would have the soul undergone? Alphabets would not have changed. They'll remain the same, ABC. Yes, of course, few books here and there would have undergone some change. Certain new syllabus, new things accommodated into the syllabus. That also I'm not sure would have been done or not. Few modalities of teaching may have undergone some change. Okay, yes, but you still cannot say that it was a great time lapse. No, you cannot say. So the soul that departed in 2000, when manifested again in 2002, has almost been experiencing somewhat the same world with a new name, a new identification, a new family, maybe a new region altogether, but with somewhat changes, not like having undergone a great time lapse. No, nothing of that sort. But what is it going? It is going through the same routine. Again, study in the school, fight to crack examination, contest for admissions. Again, that war starts for the career, security, insecurity, markets up, market down, this and that, interpersonal communication, conflicts, seeking love, seeking approval, seeking self affirmation, whatnot. It's all the same. So, has the soul undergone some evolution? Maybe an evolution, a growth here or a growth, an element of spot of growth there, but not total evolution, which otherwise is we are given to understand by the exalted one in the form of emancipation. Emancipation is something very different. No, that it has not gone through. So here it says, if you do not follow this dharma, if you do not follow the dharma, what will happen? You will not be able to attain me. You will not be able to have emancipation. What will happen? You will re-manifest. The word is nivartante. You will fall back to the same vicious cycle. Again, mrityu sansara varatmani. Mrityu sansar, the world of death, where everything must decay, disintegrate, disembark, degenerate. Everything is prone to that. Everything is in the confinements of age and limitations. So you will be again into that same path. Punurapi jananam, punurapi maranam, puni puni janani jatare shainam. You'll be again confined to the world of limitations. So if you really want to break the barriers, you must allow the dharma to cherish within you and must have adequate faith to allow yourself undergo such a propulsion within yourself, ignite yourself to that extent that you take the initiative in your sadhana. You must be able to brush aside, must be able to incinerate all kind of hesitations that disallow you to take a firm resolve. There may be certain impending resolves within you that you may have been seeking to cherish since last couple of decades. One day I am going to sit down for an anushthan. One day I am going to observe fasting in this manner or that manner. One day I am going to accomplish this. Where is that one day? Well, that one day nobody has been able to find so far. Yes, few who accomplished were able to find a moment when they really started, and through countless failures, they accomplished. One would always start not with success but with failures. One who wants to start only with success is not the right one who should start at all. Who's the righteous one to start? The righteous one to start is one who has given to itself a firm understanding that I have to confront countless failures. If that be your understanding, then believe me, you shall excel. You shall cherish the purpose of this entire sadhana. There is no doubt about that. So today, when you close down this lecture, when this lecture is over, this lesson is over, this understanding is over, must go through it once again so that you are able to understand the esoteric aspects into it. What does Dharma want to convey? What does Ashraddhana want to convey? What does Parantapa want to convey? Yes, the second line of the verse is obviously about the outcome, which can be easily understood with the least time which you can afford to it. But the first line must be given. It should be allowed to percolate into you, so that next time when it comes to the new, that there is an impending resolve within me since past so many years. You consider as it the moment of celebration. The moment is today, and I resolve it today. I'm beginning it today. I may fall, I may fail, nothing to lose. People who shall confront failures for the sake of their own inner growth shall never lose. There is a difference between failure and loss. Certain failures accompany grave losses, but a failure in the light of your own inner growth accompanies no loss. It is always with gain, because each failure that comes your side is a reinforcement which you're getting within yourself, that yes, you must, you shall, you shall be able to accomplish it. You have to rise again. You are left with no alternatives but to rise again and move on. Let them not be merely words. You don't require motivation to excel in this spiritual parlance, my dear friend. No, Babu, no motivation. Ancient Indian wisdom does not have room for motivation. It's a one way ticket. It's a one way ticket where there is no return. Unless you give yourself a one way ticket, motivations will have their age. Now they motivate you, and the next very moment there is something else that draws your attention, sways your attention into some meaningless affair, and then that motivation evaporates. So motivation comes with a packet of age. It has a limited charging. So don't seek motivations, my dear boy, my dear girl. Don't seek motivation. If you really want to seek, then seek a one way ticket where you are left with no other option but to tread further, must traverse further. No going back now. Failure is not there for you to stop or to go back. Failure may be for you to sit down, evaluate yourself, prepare yourself, and move on, but not an escape route, not an escape route, not a postponement. Maybe an interlude to prepare, to analyze why you failed, but not a postponement. Procrastination has no room for seekers. Do you get me? So don't always seek motivation. Motivation is not for us. Motivation is a subject for those who have to accomplish very highly ephemeral objectives that last merely this material plane. But for those who want to excel beyond the material plane, motivation holds no meaning. For them, it's only one way ticket, Babu. One way ticket. Do you understand this? Having said so, I conclude this class. More to come in the next class, because the real study of the royal esoteric knowledge, the royal knowledge, shall start from the verse number 4. These were the preparatory ones for the seeker. You must go back to the class once the class finishes. Have a re-look upon it, revise it, so that you're able to associate the real connotation of these terms, which otherwise are deployed so commonly in a common usage that we don't draw much out of them with a superficial attention. Having said so, ओम ही सत्य है, ओम ही सत्य है, ओम ही सत्य है.